Hi guys! And today I'm going to show you all the secrets of the first part of the 6th episode of Skibidi Multiverse. We have found and analyzed all the hidden details and Easter eggs you could have missed while watching these episodes. Now make some tea and grab your snacks. Let's go! The 6th episode sets off on the roof of a building, where we can see how POV turns around and looks down. The events are happening in the same city, but in a slightly different place. At first glance, it seems that this is the same place as it was in the 5th episode. However, there is no raccoon police sign nor any kind of flags waving on this gate. There is also no sign of lamppost that stood near this hatch before. I can assume that perhaps all of this was demolished by this Skibidi when he fell. And if my suggestion is fair enough, that means POV from the last episode should actually be standing here. But the thing is that I see only TV Man in all this smoke. It is actually quite possible that Cameraman did not survive this battle. And if it's true, well, what can I say? Press F, guys. Meanwhile, as TV Man is in the process of teleporting, a large speakerman approaches him holding his comrade, Big CLOCKMAN, right in his hands. Let me remind you that in the last video, Big Magnet Skibidi showed the agents how to divide things into 2 parts, but he did not have enough time to deal with the rest of them. He was way too busy with the arrival of the Titan CLOCKMAN. So when the magnetic toilet was gone, the Alliance began an evacuation plan for the Big CLOCKMAN. Here in this scene, we can also see how a large Skibidi toilet takes his rest with circular saws, which are supposed to be attached to his hands, but what's funny enough is that now they are on his head. And I actually think that it was the magnetic guy who probably dealt with him. Because judging by the eyes of the sawhead guy, the Titan CLOCKMAN subdued him with his time power, which is what happened in the 3rd episode, so Skibidi had to eliminate his soldier. Now let's move on further. POV Cameraman turns around again. Now take a good look at this place, because there is another huge toilet lying there. He was also present in the previous episode. That is a Skibidi with katanas, and it seems to me he was also hypnotized by CLOCKMAN just to get exterminated right after that. What we see next is 2 Titans having a rough tussle. With slow motion mode on, you can actually spot a rocket missile that collides with Titan and explodes afterwards. That means these kind of weapons on the sides of the toilet are rocket launchers. These rocket missiles have a pretty unusual design. I have never seen anything like it, as such missiles will probably not be able to fly far enough, and they also seem to be not that heavy. We can get it watching a scene where one of those directly hit the core of Titan made of glass, but no impact was seen. In a form of response, CLOCKMAN shoots from his cannon with an enhanced charge, stopping the time for the magnetic Skibidi. In the process of those events, a message arrives on the POV tablet stating that the Titan speakerman has returned to the headquarters. We can also see some sort of emblem of the CLOCKMAN, although there is nothing strange here. It's just a stopwatch with the yellow background. As Cameraman reads the message, the Titan just stands there with no movements and does nothing. And I don't quite understand why doesn't he just subdue the Skibidi magnet as he did with the sawhead toilet. And while CLOCKMAN is probably thinking about something, an infected Titan cameraman arrives to help the Skibidi toilets. With his time-stopping gun, which have apparently been loaded to the maximum this time, the Titan CLOCKMAN shoots at Cameraman, but his power shield reflects the projectile, which is quite interesting. Turns out that Cameraman has an ability of blocking some aspects of CLOCKMAN's abilities. Although this does not change the situation, and I still consider the Metal Titan to be the strongest among them all. Ready to get collided, he takes the first blow. But then Cameraman begins to pour fire right onto his core. I think it weakened him greatly, so when CLOCKMAN freezes time again, he starts looking for a parasite on the body, but finds nothing, as it was actually placed inside. Suddenly, the CLOCKMAN's core become extremely laggy, most likely due to the fact it simply got overheated. With fire, too. But then Cameraman took everything under control once again and continued to fight. Cameraman Titan pulls out his huge jet hammer from the back, which form reminded me strongly of the Fallout's super sledge. It is somewhat similar to Titan's weapon. Besides, he has a jet accelerator that speeds things up, helping to strike multiple crushing blows at the enemies. Having accelerated with the help of that wonderful jetpack, he hits the Titan CLOCKMAN with all his strength, throwing him far aback. At this exact moment, an explosion occurs as that CLOCKMAN crashed into one of the buildings. It seems to me, though, it didn't really hurt him. Cameraman is preparing to make a shot from his plasma cannon attached to his arm, but CLOCKMAN manages to get the time shurikens from his back. And while the Titan cameraman can't really discern the Titan clockman because of all that smoke, these flying things start cutting off his shoulder cannons, starting from the left shoulder and then removing the second gun after a while. However, the infected giant still manages to get rid of annoying shurikens with a plasma cannon. He magnetized the last flying projectile with his right hand, which turned into something similar to Gravity Gun from the Half-Life game afterwards, which you can use to attract various objects with, and then to push them away. And that's exactly what the Black Titan did. And while he was getting rid of all these annoying stars, Titan Clockman didn't waste any time and started accelerating. As he reached his goal, he threw a precise elbow strike, thereby knocking his opponent straight to the ground. He rips his jetpack open and begins tearing off pieces of his body from the poor opponent's back, looking for a parasite that is lodged deep in the cameraman's body. As he finds it, Clockman pulls it out ferociously. In the process of him trying to do this, though, the head of the Titan cameraman has gradually lost all its durability points, so to speak, and got detached from the main body. By the way, guys, have you noticed that his lamp glowed in color yellow all this time throughout the whole episode? And just as Titan Clockman destroyed him, he began to glow in color blue, as it was before him getting infected. Although it may seem quite possible it had happened due to the fact that Clockman crushed the parasite which stopped being active. Based on the external appearance of his eyes, I can state that he is no longer alive. But when the Alliance cut the parasite out of his body in the 11th episode, he got to be fleeing away, which means that this little Skibidi possesses an ability to keep its host alive for all the time he's been staying inside of the body infected by him. You must have been also noticed that the Skibidi magnet, which Titan Clockman shot with from his time gun quite a long time ago, is still being there without any movement changes. I'm actually surprised by the sheer amount of power this thing holds. I mean, take this into consideration. It is able to stop such insanely big and robust opponents, and for such a long time. I'm simply amazed. After that, the cameraman's head finally blacks out, which means that he died from the injuries being incompatible with life, this time for good. I mean, yeah, it kind of happens when your head gets torn off. And Clockman, who must have realized the consequences of the thing what he has just done, just keeps sitting there next to him longer than usual, perhaps considering the further actions he'll be about to do. You can also notice that he seems to be very exhausted. His core reddens, bursts with sparkles and fumes, so I can assume that he probably won't be able to survive through another fight. And on such a sad note, the episode gets to its end. Now, I want to come back to the question I asked during the analysis of the 5th episode. Why do I consider the Titan Clockman a Giga-Chad and the strongest Titan of all? Well, get this piece of information into your head, you guys. This dude just fought with a whole crowd of Skibidis, a huge magnetic toilet being capable of neutralizing the clock, and Titan cameraman at the same time, and still managed to prevail in the end of all this mess. Although I must tell you, I still consider Titan Drillman to be the coolest one out there. I mean, well, both of these guys are quite good. Be sure you're subscribed to my channel not to miss my new videos, which are highly entertaining. You know that for certain. And that was me, ISO Toilet. See ya.